Avoiding foreclosure. How you can prevent being taken advantage of by the big mortgage loan banks. In this video, you are going to learn about the big banks and how to avoid foreclosure. If you are watching this video, it is likely because you, a family member, or one of your friends has been threatened with the foreclosure of their home. This can be a scary situation. However, have no fear. This video was created to show you an option for regaining control by escaping the grasp of the big banks. Doing this will allow you to minimize the damage to your credit, avoid foreclosure, and make the best of a tough situation. We have many years of experience working in the mortgage industry. During those years, we have used the short sale process to purchase hundreds of homes. By doing this, we have saved homeowners from losing their homes to the courthouses and public foreclosure auctions. Their good credit was saved, and they were then allowed to make a fresh new start. During our time in business, we have given counseling to thousands of families in our effort to get them out of foreclosure. That also means we've had to battle big banks in order to get them to do right by these families. For the big banks, it's all about profit. These banks make their living off the misfortunes of the homeowners they victimize. They don't care if they destroy lives in the process. Nor do they care what these actions are doing to the nation as a whole. In large part due to their practices, the big banks have turned the American dream and home ownership into a dark and distorted nightmare. How did they do this? First of all, they offered mortgages to people who they knew could not afford to pay. In effect, they purposely set these people up for failure. These mortgages were sold to Wall Street buyers. Once sold, the big banks use what basically now amounts to an elitist racketeering system within Wall Street in order to place a bet that these mortgages would go into default due to the inability of families to pay them off. This is the method they use to both make money and essentially steal property from middle-class Americans for years. The house of cards that they built is no more than an illegal Ponzi scheme. When they knew that it was falling apart, all they had to do was lobby Congress and get enough votes from the Senate to bail them out. The banks gambled homeowner and taxpayer money away without having to face any consequences at all. In fact, they made huge sums of money while everyone else lost their jobs, their savings, their faith in the American system, and went broke. So, who are the big banks that benefited from all this tragedy? They include once trusted and revered institutions such as Chase, Countrywide, IndyMac, U.S. Bank, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Citibank, GMAC, and SunTrust, and many more. The blame also belongs to quasi-government entities such as Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, and HUD, who ran the FHA program. Even after the tremendous flood of foreclosures and the epic real estate market meltdown, top bank executives were still making money and even getting bonuses. Their only complaint was that they had to hire thousands of new employees. They needed people to handle the many calls coming from homeowners searching for ways to save their credit rating from a fatal 7-year tarnishment and to stop the foreclosure of their homes. Many times, the banks provided this so-called help in the form of loan modifications and ineffective government programs. However, instead of providing real help, these so-called solutions often created more problems. The documentation process, getting the runaround, making numerous calls and being placed on hold, having to speak with multiple offices and people who never could give a clear answer to questions. These are the things that they made people deal with in search of a solution, because the problem was not really meant to be fixed. In many cases, after being run around in circles, people were finally told that they were denied assistance and their homes were still foreclosed upon despite their many efforts and cooperation. Other homeowners tried to mitigate damages by selling their homes before the foreclosure. However, this was not a good way to go either. Most homeowners today owe more money on their home than can be made at sale. And on top of that, the homeowners have to get approval from the big banks and other lien holders in order to close the deal on a short sale, whereby the home is purchased for less than the value owed. Finding a buyer is difficult enough, but even if a buyer is found, the process can take 5 months to complete, if not more. Often, time is not a luxury that people have when racing against foreclosure. However, there is a much better way. The best thing is to get the big banks out of the picture entirely. You can simply say goodbye altogether to Citibank, Chase, and the other greed-driven institutions. I'm going to tell you how to do just that. I am part of a group of entrepreneurs that work all across the country. We have come together and completed thousands of sale transactions. In doing so, we have helped to remedy the massive problem that the big banks have caused in our nation. Even though these banks have blamed the problem on small businesses and entrepreneurs, we know better. The big banks have sought to make others the scapegoat for their crimes. Our response to that is to fight back against the manipulative practices that these big banks have perpetrated. We are not willing to play along with the rules that these big banks are making up. After all, they are rigging the game, changing rules as they go so that they will profit while others suffer. We are battling them by combining our knowledge, resources, and collective leverage to buy up defaulted notes in bulk. We are then able to work with the homeowners and help them to avoid foreclosure. This prevents their credit from being wrecked. Real estate notes have been purchased and sold ever since they were created. Big banks want to sell these notes in order to clear their books of bad notes, trade their notes for solid cash, avoid closing costs, and to eliminate their liability. Often, the big banks like to package together tens of millions of dollars in these notes, which they call bad paper. Since these items are gathered together in bulk, they can more easily be sold at a discount to investors, other banks, mortgage servicers, or to Wall Street. These are notes that they don't want to own and don't want to deal with. For them, selling in bulk gets rid of these toxic loans. Also, since these notes are a high risk to the buyer, the big banks are willing to offer a big discount and let the note buyer clean up the mess. However, what we do is very different. Instead of buying a large package of notes that the big banks put together, we hand select defaulted notes ourselves. We do research, speak to the homeowners, and explain the process to them. If they decide to use our services, we do a little paperwork and package their mortgage along with others. We then turn a large package over to our law firm so that they can negotiate a bulk purchase of the notes that we have identified. The entire process takes roughly 90 days to complete. Once all terms have been agreed upon, we close the deal and everyone walks away happy. The homeowner is happy because they have been saved from foreclosure and avoided the ruining of their credit. The big banks are happy because they make cash from selling the note packages. Finally, our group gains an investment that others don't want, but we specialize in making profitable. The mortgage is terminated and credit bureaus notified that the bank note agreement has been satisfied. Foreclosure litigation is terminated. A new note is made based on a percentage of the current value of the home. We purchase that property. After we gain ownership, our group then profits by renting out or reselling the home. The best part of this process is that at no time is the homeowner asked to pay out any money. It is simply not necessary. We buy bulk at a discount and specialize in turning our investment into a profit at a later time. The homeowner is allowed to make the best out of a bad situation. For more information or to set up a time to speak with a member of our investor group, please contact us via the information below.